Hi, I'm Georgie, and welcome back to the Ava Wellness podcast. If your wellness to-do list is never ending and you're overwhelmed by trends and information being thrown your way, then we are here to simplify it. So, if you're ready to own your health, keep listening. Hi guys, and welcome back to the podcast. Today we have someone who's been on the podcast before, but we didn't quite squeeze enough out of him in the first round. So we're back for round two. We've got Dan Chappell, who is a pioneer in the health and wellbeing space, and he co-founded a multi-million-pound business and is here to tell us about the ups, downs, the lefts and rights, the highs and lows of running a business and creating a culture.
Thank you for having me on.
Very serious.
I know, as always.
It's because we're talking about business.
Exactly.
Right? Let's remind everyone your journey, where you've come from, why you chose to work in health and wellbeing, your purpose, and create this community space.
So, been in health and wellbeing my whole life. From a very young age, I was hyper aware of health and wellness. I had some family illness in my wider family, and really enjoyed being able to help people and change people's lives for the better. And that started when I was 17. I qualified as a PT, started very quickly working in exercise referral. So working with people with chronic conditions, which I very quickly found was quite heavy for someone at that age. So I moved across and studied sports science and strength and conditioning so I could work with an athletic population instead. That fed my interest because I was playing rugby at the time. I found it really exciting and it was brilliant. I spent the best part of a decade working in pro sports, but very quickly realized that I'm spending a year of my time to move someone's performance 1% better because they're already so finely tuned. So the impact you're making is so small.
Yeah.
And then did a lot of thinking about what's really important to me. And I think what I remembered and understood was helping people live happier, healthier lifestyles is way more important than edging someone's performance an inch or two better. So I made the full transition back into consumer wellbeing instead of the pro sports space and started working as a freelance health and wellness practitioner in central London before going on to set up Until.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. Like the little habits, the little stackable lifestyle tools that people can do are more important than pushing someone who's already there, already in the top 5%. It's so important. Not many people are doing it. Because we've done your personal journey, everyone go back and listen to Dan's episode in the last series. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to get you in here because I know there's a lot of business owners. There's a lot of people who work in large corporates that listen to this podcast. So let's dive into that. My first question for you is, how did you learn how to be a boss? Or were you a boss before and this was your second role? How did you learn to be a leader? Is there a difference between being a boss and being a leader? Sorry, that's many questions in one.
Yeah, so I definitely don't see myself as a boss. Leadership roles have always come fairly naturally. I think because I was so heavily involved in sport and I'd always play leadership roles within sport, it came quite intuitively to me to lead groups of people. Obviously, that looks very different in sport compared to business. But what I've done is it's been an evolution of a process where I've had to learn how to be a better leader. No one is great at it from the get-go. And I think what I found is it's something you have to consistently push yourself at. You don't just become a great leader and that's it. You can't take your foot off the gas. You constantly have to reiterate and get better every time and find new ways of becoming better because the group you're leading will change. The task you're leading them to will change. Things will naturally change. So you have to become better at dealing with those and you have to pivot and change your approach really frequently in order to be able to meet those needs of that people. But I think a lot of it really comes down to just being good with people.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think from my struggles with my sort of education and dyslexia, I always lent a lot more into people and conversation.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of my sharper skills, which is getting the best out of people.
And does that involve having a level of empathy and understanding to people? Is that involved in a leadership, or is it more steering people in the right direction? Did you see it, or a bit of both?
It's definitely both.
Yeah.
for me, empathy feels like uh, the floor, not the ceiling. Like, if you're a leader, you need to have empathy. If you don't have empathy, you're either going to churn through talent,
Yeah.
or you're going to make it an unbearable place to work in.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get the best out of your team. So having a level of empathy is essential. And I would always say that's not something we should aspire for. That's something that's foundational. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever lost your shit at someone and forgotten the empathy and had to learn the hard way? I want to get into the stories.
I've never lost my shit at someone. I've definitely changed tonality and style of conversation with them to show that I was frustrated.
Yeah.
But I've always managed to maintain professionalism and not absolutely lose my head. There's been times I've wanted to, for sure. But I always say, like, a calm mind is a clear mind. So there's no point of me going absolutely ballistic, saying something I didn't mean, or saying something that I might push them off in a different direction.
Yeah.
So I always try to bring myself back down to it. It's obviously easier said than done. But yeah, it's challenging at times, and I've had to work on getting better at vocalizing the way I feel in certain situations.
Yes, yeah. And within that, a layer within empathy, I guess, is how do you feel about showing vulnerability to your employees or the people that you work with, your co-workers, whatever the phrase that you like to use? Is sharing your own vulnerability an important part of being a leader?
Yes, absolutely. Vulnerability is an interesting one, and I've had lots of different thoughts about this over the years. And I think showing vulnerability is essential in terms of making you human, humanizing the process of being at work with someone, and showing that you care is massively important. When you're leading a business, I think there's also a balance where, depending on what comes in, it's almost like you take a role similar to that of parents. You want to protect your children from some of the issues that go on above the water. So there's always a level of showing enough that they feel engaged and that humanizes you and makes them feel connected to you.
Yeah.
But also protecting them from some of the things that they don't need to be aware of, or
there's a filter system.
Correct. Yeah. How about yourself? How do you feel about it?
You'd start asking me questions. I feel vulnerability is really important in a business, and I'm still learning, and this is it may be a good thing for some businesses and a bad thing for others. I'm not saying this is the way that people should lead, but I'm very much everyone's as one. We are on the same level. Yes, I'm a leader and I steer the business in the way that I think is best, but in terms of people's ideas and people's contributions, I'm all for everyone being alongside. Maybe it's a woman thing, let's get into this, but I am very good at sharing when I'm struggling to my teammates, and I wouldn't necessarily share it in the same way as I would share my friends or my family, in terms of go home and bawl my eyes out and have a panic.
Yeah.
But I would be very vocal about, I'm really struggling today. I might be a bit quiet, but I don't know, is that a female thing, do you think, or is it just a emotional skill?
I think women tend to be better at vocalizing how they feel about certain things.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to do that, and it's something I've had to get better at as well. Which is, historically, I would never have said how I was feeling. You would see me. Like, anything could be going on behind the scenes, and I will turn up exactly the same way every single day, historically.
Yeah. It's like a swan that's paddling underneath.
Yeah. Whereas now I try to show a bit more and talk a bit more openly with the team around what's going on in my life outside of work, and maybe why I'm not showing up the same way that I would normally do. And I try to give context, because context is everything in this.
Yeah. And do you think that's been a benefit? Because I've known no different. I wear my heart on my sleeve, personally and professionally. Yes, there's boundaries and there's a certain filter at work, but it's still, I'm very open. If something's happening behind closed doors, I will be very open about it. Do you think that's positively impact your work culture, you opening up a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We made a shift as a team to be more open and transparent about what we were seeing or feeling as a leadership team. And that's made a massive difference to the rest of our team and our wider team. But more importantly, if they see us doing it and they do it as well, and it opens up a dialogue which is so helpful as a leader, because you can understand the nuances and context behind why people do certain things and the way in which they do it.
Yes.
And I think for us, that was a huge unlock. And people often make these assumptions when you don't have all the context around why someone's doing something or why they're not doing something.
Yeah.
But if you have this open dialogue and vulnerability as to what's going on, and you showcase empathy, everyone performs so much better.
Filters, waterfalls from the top down. If you're showing that stress or that vulnerability or shakiness on a certain situation, and your ability to then have that resilience to move through it, others will see that, I feel.
Yeah. And I guess the opposite side of the coin is, the only difference is you need to be the one that's going to pull the reins again.
Yeah.
So after you've aired your concerns, stress, whatever it is, frustration, you then need to be the one to go, okay, this is the problem and here's the solution. This is how we're going to fix it. And be pragmatic around how you're going to do that.
And obviously you have a co-founder, so you're not a solo founder making all the decisions on your own. How's that dynamic changed and shifted from, you've been doing this years, right? So there must have been chapters or eras of your business life together where you've agreed or disagreed. How have you navigated that?
Good question. I think at the start of the business, I was very passive. I was a lot younger and I had a lot less experience than my co-founders and team. So I was often guided by them and their decision making. And there's a concept called rivers of thinking, which is when you go through an experience and you have learned behavior, you will make assumptions about what is going to happen based on your lived experiences. And I think what I found was I very quickly started to fall into that trap of going, okay, because they have said X or Y, that means everything works like that. And I think over time, what I learned to do is make my own decisions, put my own point of view into the room very quickly, because everyone has a unique experience and point of view on these things. So I think that evolution has changed the dynamic of the relationship between myself and my team. And I feel like everyone has such a unique backstory, lived experience, that being able to offer everyone the opportunity to put that forward is really important.
Yeah.
So I think that's changed the way we communicate and we talk. I think we've also got a lot better at conflict resolution. So we talk more directly because we've got trust and a better relationship between us. We can have really direct conversations now because everyone assumes malintent, or everyone assumes positive intent with everything we say. Like, we know it's to make the business better. So we've got much better at that, and we call that conflict and commit. So we'll have a discussion, even if we disagree massively, we won't leave that conversation until we've got a solution to go forward into. And once you've committed to that, whatever it is, you both have to fully commit, and there's no going back. There's no what ifs, no buts. It's okay, we've disagreed on something, but we're going to agree on the solution going forwards.
People should do that in their personal life as well.
They should. Yeah.
That conflict and commit, because more often than not, arguments with anyone, your family, your friends, your partner, your work colleagues, stem from two different opinions or two different styles of conflict leading in fire, right? And this snowball effect of I'm right, you're wrong. And then there's this saying, like, never go to bed on an argument. And I feel that way in business, personal, professional, whatever life I'm living. I can't do it. I can't end the day without resolving a situation. It drives me up the wall. So I think that's really positive. Do you think that these learnings have come with time? Have they come from certain situations going wrong and you've had to switch and pivot and learn and find ways to adapt to working together or working with your team? Or, like I said, is it something that's learned over a long period of time of running a business?
I think it's probably things going wrong.
Yeah.
Because you can very easily live in a world where everything goes right and nothing will change. So often you need things to go wrong in order for you to make changes as you go.
Yeah.
And I think what that did is it accelerated the rate of our growth
Yeah.
and the rate at which we had to start to work through these problems. Because we're a physical real estate and a technology business, we have all of the problems that exist in both worlds. So
Don't know how you do that.
instead of just having to worry
Wow.
about problems with tech or issues with boilers, we have to worry about both.
Yeah.
And issues come up every day, every week. So finding ways to work very quickly and collaboratively together to solve problems, we've become much better at doing. Obviously, there's always room for improvement and to get better as a team.
Yeah.
But we've had to very quickly find ways to navigate those issues.
Yeah, that's us. That's what I find. I'm at the stage where I think I'm about to be pulled out of the weeds of the business, obviously in a startup. And I want to talk to you about being an entrepreneur more, because you've lived it a lot longer than I have. I feel there's a transition coming where I'm about to, thank God, be taken out of the weeds of the business. So if something goes wrong, I'm the one fixing it. I can give you an example last night, which I just spouted off to you before the podcast, which is absolutely catastrophic for all of my team. I'm the only one who can fix it. And it's so, I guess it must be so brilliant to have people to fix it for you, but also worrying if they don't. And you know, that whole learning how to delegate comes with time. Do you feel you're at a place now where if things go wrong, it's covered? You've got the team in place? Or do you still get involved?
I feel like we've got the right team in, and I feel like we've developed trust across the business where people can now step into those things, and take accountability for dealing with those. We're really meticulous with the way we hire people to make sure that if anything did go wrong, they would be the sort of person we could trust with those issues. And part of it is, as you said, is around delegation and being comfortable with delegation. Often the reason people won't delegate is because they don't trust the person they're giving the task to be able to complete it or complete it as well as they're going to complete it themselves. So for us, we're hiring people for a reason. You've got to give them the reins when stuff goes wrong or when they need to take ownership.
Yeah. No, that's a tough art to learn though.
Yeah.
Do you think you're a natural born entrepreneur?
I think so, only because I don't really I've never followed convention.
Okay.
I don't fit into any category. I was kind of like the runt of the litter growing up, and I didn't fit anything. I wasn't massively academic or massively creative or massively, I don't know, like I wasn't massively scientific, but I fell quite naturally into entrepreneurship from a very early age. I always had an appetite for business and commerce.
Yeah.
And I found it really exciting. So I would say, yes, I've fallen into it, but I don't know anything other than that.
Yeah.
So it's, is the short answer. Yeah. But it's a hard one because I know there's millions of people who are more purebred entrepreneurs than I'll ever be. But I think there's a scale of all these things.
Massively. And I think more and more people want to be entrepreneurs now.
Which I love.
I love it too. But there's also needs to be more conversations about the reality of being an entrepreneur, I feel, as well. I just mentioned to you before this podcast, like, and I know you won't do this because you agree with me, like the glorified hustle culture and grind culture of an entrepreneur, because I'm all about, you know, wellness and health comes first. Your work fits around how healthy you are. That's the most important thing. And I feel on social media, there's so much, maybe it's less these days, but talk about, you know, you live, breathe, eat, sweat, sleep, your job. And although that is true, I'm living it myself. There's still an element of me that will always have boundaries and will always have that stopping mechanism to be able to completely switch off my brain. Maybe that's just a skill I've learned, but I don't know how. That's probably one of the dangers of being an entrepreneur, I think. And the second one, which I wanted to ask you about, is the focus thing. They said the most, I can't remember where it's from, I'll link it in the show notes, the most dangerous thing about being a natural entrepreneur is that you're so excitable, energetic, business focused, and like growth focused that your fingers are in 9 different pies trying to pull together something when actually you should be tunnel vision to your purpose and what you're doing.
Yeah, it's bang on, and focus is a really interesting topic because I think you're so right, because it's one of the things I've always struggled with, and singular narrow focus is obviously the best way to execute and to get progress and to do all these different things. But I've always struggled with that. Like, I see opportunities arise in different areas, and it's not I chase the shiny things. I see opportunities and know I can create impact if I were to do something.
Yeah.
And my mind naturally starts worrying. And often that's when my mind starts worrying, is often at night when I'm trying to sleep. I think, oh, what if you did this, or if you created a concept over here that could work with this other one. And
Yeah.
it's really easy to get carried away with those things. I really would love to know if that is a general trait across entrepreneurs, because it's almost like, I'm not saying we have, but it's like I think it's getting worse as well. Is so you develop almost like a attention deficit disorder around.
This is exactly what it is.
And I think it's like, because I never used to, when I was younger, it never used to be as bad, but I think it's getting progressively more and more. So now I'm always looking for ways which I could do more.
Yeah.
And my parents always laugh at me because they said if I had a second free in the day, I would fill it with a new idea, because I get so excited about things.
Yeah.
But it's not coming from a place of I have to. It's like I love these things that I'm doing.
No, it's not a sort of, I mean, for some people it's chasing money. Obviously, when you're in a startup, you're not paying yourself, or you're paying yourself very little. And more often than not, I feel entrepreneurs will juggle with side hustles or places where they think they can get quick wins and quick money that are aligned with their business or slightly outside their business. And I feel like that's dangerous, but obviously we have to live. Quick pause before we dive back in. If you're looking to truly support your mind and body every day, then you need to check out the Arbor app. I created Arbor to give you round-the-clock access to expert-led workouts, holistic wellness tools, and real mindset support, all in one place. Whether you're starting out or if you're deep into your wellness journey, Arbor meets you where you're at. Download the app today, and we're giving you a 2-week free trial to start moving, breathing, and living better. Now back to the episode.
Yeah.
Go
I've got
on.
a question for you.
Go on.
Topic I was discussing with a friend the other day is, do you think everyone can or should be an entrepreneur?
I don't think everyone can, and that's not me being what's the word? Elitist, or saying that I'm a good one. I'm just saying no, I don't think it's the life for everybody. Should? That's a different question. Do I think everyone should be an entrepreneur? No. Both answers no. I think that it's a way of life that you have to be so clear and so passionate about what you're doing, in my experience, everyone's different, to be able to keep going. A friend of mine who runs a very successful fund and podcast, and I train his mum, has always said that if you're not fully passionate, fully living it, you won't succeed. And I agree with that, and he also said the point was that he didn't make any money for 5 years. Now he's a multi-billionaire. Like, he's like, probably know who I'm talking about, but he's, he didn't make any money on his bedroom floor in a podcast for 5 years. And to get up every day when there's no return from it and live that life, it takes a certain person.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's hard, right? Because you can see the long term. You can see the long term vision for what you're building, and you have to be obsessed with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think so many people misinterpret what goes on behind the scenes, and people see entrepreneur and they think, oh, they must be making loads of money. This business looks all shiny on the outside, but they don't see what really goes on behind closed doors. And I think I totally agree with you that you have to be a specific type of person that's willing to go through that crap for as long as it is. Because I saw a post the other day which was saying it's not about the idea or the concept, it's how long you're willing to be resilient for, or how long you're willing to go through it. It's a resilience game ultimately.
I was just about to pull out that word. We love the word resilience, Arbra, and we talk about it a lot on the podcast, talk about it a lot on the app, and that is exactly the word to describe whether you're up to doing this or not. Like, it's the resilience because the highs are so high, the lows are deeply low. Like they as I hate to sound negative, I'm not being negative. I think everyone, if they have a passion, should follow it. Everyone should follow their dreams. Everyone should do what they want, because there's no point in being miserable at your job. That's the worst thing.
100%.
But at the same time, the lows have the potential to really knock you. And that's, from people I've been through a lot of trauma, so have you, and they're almost worse than personal stuff that can, physically and mentally floor you. So yeah, and I guess, is that learnt though? Can it be learnt, or do you have to be that certain person who's willing to get back up 20 times over?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. For the most part, I would assume it's a mindset piece, like that you're potentially ingrained with, but that might be nurture and nature at the same time. But all I know is if people don't have it, they very quickly find their way out of entrepreneurship.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I can tell, like, I'll use my brother, as an example on this podcast. He's much more academically intelligent than I am. He's on the ball, he's focused, he doesn't get distracted, but there is no way in hell he could be an entrepreneur. He just doesn't have the drive, the motivation, the passion. He does really well at what he does, but you can just spot someone and think, and he'd be miserable. That's the main thing. He'd be miserable running his own business.
Yeah, I think in my view, entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. I think if you're not willing to go through rejection, things going wrong, things breaking, people issues, money issues, stress, it's not a place you want to play. And that's fine. And entrepreneurship shouldn't be for everyone. For some people, they want something that is consistent, which is leveled. They know what they're turning up to every day.
Yeah.
And it's predictable. So they know what they're coming to, and they want to be able to switch off on the dot when they need to be.
Yeah.
I think all the entrepreneurs I know are hardwired to chase that excitement and to want to create something that doesn't already exist in the market
and has a big impact on society. Yeah. Right. And I wrote a post on LinkedIn the other day, and I was a bit worried to post it, but it did really well. And it was about, there are days, and my business is so attached to my story and my personal journey. So it's not like I've had an idea and I've executed it. It's in my DNA, my business. But I still have days where I am like, what the hell am I doing? And business is going really well at the moment, on paper. And I still have those days where I'm like, I could give this all up and go live in Cape Town on a beach and have a simple job and a simple life and deal with none of this. And I choose not to. And it's a very short blip in time, but I want to break that, because people online, and especially on LinkedIn, where most entrepreneurs will share a lot of things about their day and a lot of wins, I feel there's a sort of image of you have to love what you do every day to be a successful entrepreneur. Thoughts on that?
I mean, I firsthand, I know that definitely is. It's the case with almost every single entrepreneur I know. There are days, when I go, why am I doing this? I could just live simple. Like, why do I need to do this for myself?
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Why am I doing this for myself?
And there's days where I absolutely love it, and I go, oh, this is the very reason why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And then I look around, and most of my friends are now founders of businesses, and obviously it's in the circles you move in, but they all have days where they turn to me and go like, I want to can this. Ones that you would never imagine that you're like, they are flying.
Yeah.
Their businesses are flying. They're doing so well.
Yeah.
They also have days when they're like, I just want to sack this off and go and work in a coffee shop.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
it's humbling and good to know that you're not alone, and everyone it goes through moments like that, because it's completely normal.
And then you have to play the balancing game of living your life in fight or flight, which is most of the time, unless you've developed the skills to cut away from that. You know, people have to develop their own ways of stepping out of their adrenaline, their high cortisol and adrenaline, because me in particular, managing and juggling a million things at once every day at the moment. And I'm sure it's stages that you go through. But how did you learn sustainability in entrepreneurship? Because a lot of people under the pressure and under the money troubles, the people troubles, the shit going wrong will not hack that mentally and physically. How did you learn? There must have been a point where you're like, this is how I manage myself.
Yeah, weirdly for me, I think I was fortunate to have a couple of different things as I was growing up. Naturally, I'm very good at compartmentalizing. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we'll find out in the future. It's going to be a lot of therapy to get me through a big bottleneck of things. But for me, I'm very good at distinguishing between what's a real threat and a real problem of my life versus what's a short-term discomfort. And I always revert back to like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, if all goes wrong, am I still going to be okay? Am I still going to be alive? Am my family still going to be okay? Yes. So I always go like, I try to compare it, because you can very easily get locked into this silo of going, the whole world's falling apart, and it could just be a complaint from someone, and you're like, my life's over, the business is finished, it's done. But actually, in reality, it's not as bad as it seems.
There's so many moments,
yeah. And I put a post up recently about Alex Hormozy's quote, which is, inches a mile wide. Fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. We always assume things are going to be so much worse than they are, and they're going to have such catastrophic effects on us or our business. And I think in reality, they very rarely are. So I always try to keep a perspective like that in, to know that it's going to be that way.
Yeah.
And the other thing which I think I've learned to do well is put steps and processes in place that will mitigate that feeling of stress. Things around like nutrition, training, sleep. I historically, at the start of the business, I neglected all of those things horrendously, to the point where I had a bit of a wake-up call. I did a biological age test, and at the time when I did it, I was 29 years old. I did it through a friend of mine who runs a longevity business, and I said, great, just ping me the results on WhatsApp when you get them. And he was like, yeah, no worries. He messaged me saying, I think we should meet for a coffee. So I was like, oh goodness. And it came back as I was 59 years old biologically. So my cells were aging at a much faster rate than my 59 years old.
What were you doing?
So I was 29 going on 60. But I think it was the fact I had neglected sleep. I was allowing stress to get the better of my body.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle you get into. Sleep's bad, you're more likely to eat bad food, you're less likely to train if you're sleeping badly, hormones are all over the shot, you're inflamed. It was a bad situation. But that was the thing that I needed to go, okay, let's start to put some pieces in place that will allow me to show up my best and allow me to deliver the best I can do for the business and for myself. So from that moment on, I made health the foundation and the cornerstone of every single thing. If anything is going to deter me from my core health and move that, I won't do it now. So I always go, health is the foundation, then everything else sits on top of that. And that's all aspects of health.
I've been preaching this behind closed doors for a while now. I know, like I said, and same as you, I'm surrounding myself with other entrepreneurs and other founders of businesses. And because I'm wellness, and most of them aren't wellness, I don't really know many apart from wellness founders, they come to me for advice. And, and I've been a PT for 14 plus years now. So a lot of my friends, a lot of people will come to me and say, I feel exhausted. My skin is grey. I'm nauseous all the time. I can't stay awake. And you look at their day and it's such a simple fix to me, and I don't understand why people do it to themselves. We all make mistakes. I've hit burnout before and it's been horrendous. Like, we all want our business to succeed so badly that we're willing to put ourselves second and off the pedestal for our business to be first. But I will say it till I'm blue in the face. You will not perform and you will not last if you don't take care of yourself first. So having those boundaries in place, like, obviously if something goes wrong, we're working all night, and people do that, but you don't need to do that every night. That's an example. There's a lot of social media posts that I see saying, like, founders will work till 2 a.m. and then get up at 6 a.m. and do their workout. Like, who can do that? It's actual bollocks.
There's no
I feel so
longevity.
strongly about it. Like, okay, you'll sustain that for 3 months and then see how you feel. Then see how your body's reacting. Then see what foods you're craving. Then see how your relationships are impacted by that. Your performance at the gym will decline rapidly. All of these things are the most important thing to being successful, let alone for yourself.
Yeah, it's not a sprint as well. You need to stay in the game. As we said, it's about resilience. You need to be there.
Dig your heels in.
Exactly. So if you're doing that and making those same mistakes that I made at the very start, it's going to be a very shortly lived entrepreneurial career for you. And I think you will not only feel 100 times better if you do look after the different elements of health and well-being in your day-to-day, but your team will also know you show up better. You'll be sharper. You'll be thinking more clearly. You'll be more efficient. Everything will be better.
Leader.
Yeah, exactly.
So you prioritize sleep, nutrition, movement, relationships.
So I look at health and well-being through a few different lenses. Have you ever heard of Sahil Bloom and his work around phases of life?
Yes. Yeah.
So, go on, you're going to say so?
No, I'm just going to say, how do you implement that into your life, though?
So this is exactly the way I do it. So I see health through a few different lenses, which is social, mental, and physical. Obviously, there's spiritual health as well. For me, I try to juggle those three in phases. So I know I'm never going to be able to do all three of those bang on. So social health around my friends and family, investing time into those, which is the way I charge. I charge my battery by being surrounded by people I love.
Yeah.
And I feel most relaxed around them. I recover best when I'm around them. But also I know my physical health is massively important as well. I know if I don't train, I'm not going to be at my best. My body composition is going to get worse, etc. And then mental health, like keeping myself sharp, keeping myself well. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with things in today's world. So finding a balance between those three. And I think I try to ensure throughout, whether it's throughout the week or throughout the month, I touch certain points of each of those.
It's interesting.
I'm getting more and more tapped into spiritual health as well, but I'm not fully integrated into it yet, but I'm on a journey.
Okay. I love that. Continue the journey. It's really helped me. I'm not overly spiritual. I lost a friend 5 years ago, which is why Arbra's called Arbra. I think I told you the story. And I have had a few touch and go moments with my own health where it could have ended very badly. And through that found spirituality. And there's something about believing in something. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe in, whether it's, if you're religious, you believe in God. If you're spiritual, you believe in certain signs in the universe. And it's helped me to cling on to that as a narrative. Do you know what I mean? If I've had a bad week, okay, the universe is testing me. Sounds woo-woo, but it's not. For me, it's very logical. Like, the universe is testing me. It's giving me lessons. What lessons am I learning from this week? As you know, off camera, it's been an absolute shit show. From Friday to today, shit show. Everything's gone wrong. And I'm like, okay, I'm learning. I'm building my resilience. I'm building strength within myself. I'm building qualities as a leader. And this was meant to happen. And then I see different things like white feathers, going a bit deep, are signs that everything's going to be okay. And it's a phase and you get through these things. And I just think something to cling on to like that gives you strength rather than, why me? Why is this happening? Why is it all negative? It's like, okay, this is here for a reason. Let's find signs or find things that help me recover from this.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's it's a topic I used to be very close-minded about. So coming from a sports science background, we are purists. Data. It's like, if it's not backed by a meta-analysis, it doesn't exist. And I think what I've learned over the years is to be more open-minded to these sorts of discussions.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine has just written a book called Signs who talks exactly about that. And she comes from a neuroscience background, but now is in the talking about signs from people who are no longer in this world and all these sorts of things.
I need to be her friend.
Yeah. So it's so if someone can go from neuroscience to that, then that change makes me way more aware that I don't know it all, and I'm becoming way more open-minded to these things. So
yeah,
bang on.
Well, it's we just had, I just told you, had a man on the podcast who has been through a lot of surgeries and a lot of hard times in his life, and he was talking about medicine and science and doctors not always getting it right, or getting it right, but there's always sort of variables to the advice that they give. I then said to him, the advice they gave me as a child is the opposite to what I'm doing now. So I'm not saying that medicine is wrong or science is wrong, but I'm saying they give us that as a point, but you can defy that, and you can almost, I have to be careful what I say, but warp medicine and science with things that you believe, or resilience or resistance to it, or how you think, how you move, how you speak. You can change things
100%. And I think a lot of that comes from mindset and attitude. The amount of instances I know where people have had the odds heavily stacked against them, but mentally are like, I'm not letting this define me, or I'm not letting this be the course for me, and they will actively change their course of action, treatment plans, everything. Obviously I'm not saying that ignore scientific, like, medical advice.
No, I have to give that caveat every time I talk about it. But yes, I ignored the doctors, but you don't ignore the doctors. No, I think it's so true, and it's important to, I think, as pushing it back to being a founder or an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to zoom out and see the bigger picture, I think, and to think of things in different ways, and pivot your thought, and to pivot how you then act upon your thoughts, and find ways, to put it frank, to cope in your own way. It doesn't really matter what that is. It's finding ways to cope. So just in terms of your role, how it's developed in terms of how it's affected you personally, the growth of you in leadership and in business, what impact has that had on your personal life as you as a person? Also in a pivotal age, I think, from 28 to 32, 33, 4,
fresh,
5.
Fresh. Younger than that, but
7.
Thank you.
I think it's one of the most critical time brackets for an adult is 28 to 35, because it's people getting married, people having kids, society kind of moves you into the new chapter. You're running a business.
Yeah, I think it's changed me a lot personally. I think, I'm not sure whether it was the business that changed me, or the circles I moved in, or just life. Getting older and maturing more. It's probably a good thing I matured, because when I was younger, I was probably a bit too immature. But I do think it's a pivotal age. So I started the business when I was 24. So
wow, okay.
I'm now 31, not 37.
Sorry.
Thank you for that. The age and the grey hairs
actually
aren't
59.
Yeah, biologically I'm further ahead. So I think a lot has changed. I've become more open-minded. I've become more confident, not only in myself but my abilities. I think when I was younger, I had massive imposter syndrome, and I always, which I think still lives on to some extent. I think we all have elements of imposter syndrome as we carry on through business. But I think I've eradicated a lot of those issues that I had around confidence and worth when I was younger, because I had it so heavily ingrained into me that I wasn't good enough. I would never achieve anything. It was so heavily ingrained into me, and I had this chip on my shoulder that I had to prove people wrong. And I think I'm finally getting to the stage where it's now not about proving people wrong, but it's about backing myself and choosing where I want to create impact going forwards.
I do think that's an age thing as well. As life lessons is focusing less on how other people perceive you and more on how you feel within yourself is definitely a maturity thing.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. What do you think how have you evolved in the time you've been running your business?
I think exactly that. Like, I haven't grown stronger. I've been through worse personally than I have business wise. And so the resilience has always been there. And that's not me being big headed at all. It's just things stress me out and they're very stressful running a startup. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as bad as what's happened. The thing that I think that I've grown into is a strength in my decisions. I was sort of it comes back to imposter syndrome, questioning whether my strategy is right or whether my vision is right or wrong or whether what I see would work. And actually I've grown into thinking this is my business. It's my passion. It's my vision, right? And I should go with that. I take advice from you all the time. I take advice from everyone who's surrounding me, and I'm willing to be criticized and willing to be steered in a different direction. But at the same time, I have to keep my heart where it should go. And I've learned that, I think, which is good, which is an element of strength.
100%. And I think that's so bang on, because so much of the time we think everyone has everything figured out. You'll look around at really successful entrepreneurs doing amazing things, and you'll go, oh, they've got it cracked, they've got it nailed.
Yeah.
And everyone is figuring it out as they're going through it, unless they're doing repeat business where they're just replicating something they've done historically.
Yeah.
Every single person is still trying to figure it out as they go.
Yeah.
So backing yourself and having confidence and conviction in what you're doing is massively important, especially if it's based on your story, your vision, your journey. It's even more so important that you follow that.
Yeah. And I also think, I don't know if you've experienced this because of gender difference, but I've been not criticized, but I think people have viewed me, I know people have viewed me as too young, too energetic, not corporate enough. You know me off camera. I'm high energy. I'm like, just, I don't know. People describe me as a golden retriever or Labrador, right? And that's not corporate, and it's not direct, and it's not structured or strict. And I think I've only just recently learned this, that I will do things in my own way and then be myself rather than try and be the businesswoman I should be.
Yeah, I think, firstly, I think the best entrepreneurs aren't polished and corporate. They're crazy,
Great.
they are scatty, they're erratic, they are problem solvers, they're creative. They are not highly polished corporate.
No.
People who
they're on the go.
They're on the go, they're doing lots of things. So that's the first thing I would say. Secondly is your point around like gender differences and how people take you seriously and age. And I think I went through a similar mindset at the start of my journey, where I felt like people weren't taking me seriously because of my age. And I constantly I changed everything, the way I spoke, the way I dressed. I didn't want to be thought of as a PT at the time. I wanted to be taken more seriously as a business person. So I wouldn't wear trackies. I wouldn't wear anything sporty, no active wear. It would be all quarter zips, jumpers. And the way I vocalized things and spoke all changed just so I could serve this specific audience. And what you very quickly realize is, that's all in your head. And for my stuff, a lot of that was in my head around what I thought people thought about me. Yeah. But absolutely, like, there's this new modern era of founders and entrepreneurship where people are embracing what you're talking about, being young, being creative, being energetic. Yeah. Some of my friends are founders of a matcha business. They're like, that's exactly them. They are crazy. They are, if you go there and spend time with them, there's so much energy, you'll be knackered walking away. But that is now embraced. Yeah. But I do think your comment about gender differences is real and is true. It's changing, that people are starting to take women a lot more seriously, and I'm a big believer in that, and I'm a big fan of supporting that movement. But I have seen it regularly where it's unacceptable, and I make a point of mentioning it out loud when I see it.
Good. I'm glad, because one of the first businesses I pitched to in COVID, when Avra, it wasn't even Avra, it was it was a website that I'd designed and we were going B2B. It was the beginning of the beginning. And I pitched, I won't say the company because I don't want to cause any damage, but I pitched to them. They're a huge organization. I've got a very good relationship with 2 people in the organization anyway, personally. And I pitched to the head of HR wellbeing. I can't remember what it was at the time. And I recorded her response to my pitch. And it was, "You're too young. You don't know enough to run a business like this. You're not experienced enough. You're not qualified." The list, it was an absolute teardown. And it was really sad because I'm energetic and I'm crazy and I'm nuts. And I come in the Zoom meeting and I'm like, "Guys, wellness, they don't like it at all." So when I got a male involved in my business pitching, it very quickly turned. And I find that really sad.
It is really sad, and that's terrible. And I'm not saying you should name and shame them, but you should be really clear about who you want to work with based on how they react to you.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And
I just couldn't believe
of course
what was coming out of her mouth.
And lastly, don't change the way you are because they're clearly not the right partner for you.
No, that's really good. Did you find that people reacted to you in different ways depending on who they were, their gender, and what role they were in?
I didn't get the gender-based difference in how they acted towards me, but I did get the age-based piece, which was when I was, and it's again semi-dependent on situation. When I was talking, for example, about real estate to landlords, and my co-founders were older than me, they would automatically look to them, even when they were asking a question which was in my realm of expertise. So I think it's unfortunately more of I'd say it's a slightly sweeping statement, but at the time it was more of a generational thing. So it'd slightly be the older,
maybe it's generational rather,
would look to them.
Yeah.
And it's not happened. It's not happened recently. Might be because I'm 59 years old now, but
people can tell you've lived it.
Exactly. It's lived experience. 59 years of lived experience.
It's the wrinkles that are coming.
Yeah, the happy wrinkles. And yeah, it's not happened for a while, but I try where possible, even if I see it with members of my team where they won't, if they are meant to be answering a question, they look at me, I will actively guide it back to them now because I find
that's really good.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, I could talk to you forever about business, and I'm conscious of time, but maybe round 3.
Bring it back.
At some point, we want to finish. We've got a new tradition to finish this podcast. I'm going to take your answer and I'm going to hand it over to the next guest on the next podcast. And the question is, what's one thing, and it doesn't have to be necessarily fitness or nutrition, but something that you do for your own well-being that is a piece of advice or a saying or a quote or something you do regularly in your life that you would want to pass on to everybody else?
One thing.
I know. What's the most important thing?
Surround yourself with good people. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Surround yourself with good people who you work with. Surround yourself with friends, family, people who are going to charge you, excite you, energize you, everything. Because that is the biggest, I feel like that's the biggest influence on my life.
I love that. Dan, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. We will link all of Dan's links below. Go and give him a follow, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.